Alright, so today we're looking at the Heughs Canyon and waterfall, and apparently you can park lower from the trail. You just have to park on Wasatch Boulevard, walk all the way up through a bunch of houses and roads, which really sucks, thanks rich people. So we went to the Olympus Trailhead, and on the Bonneville Shoreline Trail that added quite a few more miles to the trail, but oh well. So here we are. A little shady in some spots, but it's overall pretty steep and rocky out in the sun. But there's a view into Heughs Canyon. Here's a trail that kind of splits off between the two, and then we're on to the main canyon. We're about halfway up if you take the Bonneville Shoreline Trail. There's a ton of people up here and dogs, which is really surprising. None of them were on leash, of course, just barking and going crazy, so it's really fun. So here is kind of the end of the marked trail. For a bit you have to cross some boulders, but it does turn into a trail again. But yeah, the last mile or so to the waterfall is really steep and just scrambly. I don't know why my camera didn't want to focus, but here's a view into the valley, and there's a little cave or something there. And I actually went quite a bit further up the trail than the waterfall to get a good view. So instead of just going back down, which you probably should do, I just bushwhacked up some steep and did some bouldering stuff, which is too fun. So I'd probably just go back down the trail and then loop around. But here's some bushwhack I went through to get to the waterfall, and we're right there above it. And here is the actual waterfall. Thankfully it wasn't too big because it's September, but you can see there it is running. And I'm glad it came down the waterfall instead of having to go up and down, because I just kind of slid down some rocks to get down into here. Thankfully I didn't break any bones, but as you saw some ropes over there, I guess that's how you're supposed to get up, but it looked pretty sketchy. But yeah, it was nice and cool up here. Some rocks. Really steep face. Really tight canyon. Then yeah, you just have to bushwhack maybe like a quarter mile to get back to the rocky, steep trail. We are back at the intersection going on the Bonneville Shoreline. And then back to the car, which is pretty busy for a weekday. So I rate these hikes using 3 criteria: solitude, scenery, and difficulty. Solitude is how many people are out hiking with you. Scenery are the good views, and difficulty is how hard the hike is. So for solitude, I give it a 4. A lot of people, again, like I said, a ton of dogs. If you don't like dogs, avoid this. They're just off leash going crazy. There's poop bags everywhere of typical rich people activities, so probably a 4. But there's a couple of spots, especially when you're at the top, where you get a little bit of solitude, and I don't think a lot of people actually go to the waterfall itself. So scenery is a 6. Not great on the Bonneville Shoreline Trail, and then the forest is okay, nothing too crazy. The big houses there were kind of an eyesore, but the waterfall itself is pretty cool, and there's a couple good views up the mountains. If you get a little higher, it's probably 6. And difficulty is a 6. It's pretty steep towards the end. If you do the Bonneville Shoreline, it adds a little more miles, so it's a couple more miles than you would if you just went up the road. Even if you parked on the road, it's kind of a lot of walking on a pavement. So overall, pretty steep and not too long. It's mostly shaded towards the end, so that's good. So overall, a 6. So if you like this video, put on some chapstick, because I know those lips need moisturize. Have a nice day.